2026 Infiniti QX80 in obsidian black with the new sport trim that we have. Everything being blacked out. I actually like how it looks in the front end. Very stately. Look at the height of the front end right here. We have 22-inch wheels, all blacked out. We have a little bit of silver in the wheels as well. I actually do like the wheel design here. 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 under the hood. And look at the size of this. 3-row SUV. I do like the refresh with full LEDs all around this vehicle in the front. Also LEDs right here in the back. QX80 badge also blacked out, looking beautiful. So what we're gonna do in this video is have a look at this design from a front, side, rear, and also the interior. Go into the details. The interior is very interesting in this. A lot of gloss black that I'm not a huge fan of, specifically not in this price range. But before we do that, let's pop the hood and let's see what's powering this absolute beast. So here we have it, the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 putting out 450 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Obviously, you do have 4-wheel drive with this vehicle. It's a full body on frame, full-size SUV. 0 to 60 in about 8.7 seconds. Fuel economy comes in at 16 city, 19 highway, towing capacity 8,500 pounds, and the price for this is around $107,000 for this vehicle. So let's close down the hood now. Let's talk about this brand new design, which was inspired by the concept unveiled a couple of years ago, and I think they did a great job turning this into an actual production vehicle. We do have the bumper headlights here, as you can see clearly. We have full LED headlights right in this area. We also have a little spider here, so let me save this fella. See if we can bring him out of the car. Actually, he looks, there he goes. So we have full LED headlights here and the indicator lights and the daytime lights sitting up here in this area. We have functional air slots. Love to see it that we don't just have this covered up being some black piece. We also have, of course, this in obsidian black, very stealthy looking design. I like that the Infiniti logo in the front end is still in silver. We have front mount camera located right there. Couple of intakes in the lower section. Also, the entire grille, as you can see, is completely functional in this case. Overall, the front end gives a very imposing, very stately looking front end, because look at the vertical lines that we have, how vertical the front end sits in the front, looking very clean and adding some clear stateliness to this design, exactly like we want to have in the big the top of the line version, the QX80. We also have this nice looking chamfer coming down here, creating a nice housing for the key elements in the front end design. Looking up top on the hood, very fluid looking design. I do like the center line that we have going right in the middle of the hood, connecting to the very top point here of the logo, going all the way up through the hood. We also have some nice lines coming down from the A-pillar going down into the hood right there. Now this grille, I definitely prefer the sport package in this version, because that means that the grille and everything is blacked out instead of having it be bright work in the front end. We also have, for the sport model, for the sport trim, we do have this additional lip in the lower section, creating a little bit more of a sporty design for this vehicle. Now coming around to the side view, we do have adaptive air suspension in this, meaning that you can lower and raise this vehicle by about 2 inches. Which is, of course, great if you decide you want to take this off-road, or if you want to have an easier entry, you can do that by just lowering or raise the vehicle. And as you can see, clear 2-box design. We have one box almost completely squared off in the front end right here. Then we have the second box being the entire vehicle like this. 3 rows, of course. We can definitely fit 3 rows in here, and the third row is actually pretty functional for adults as well. The wheel design, we talked about them briefly in the intro, but I do like the wheel design here, even though they are blacked out. We do have a little bit of silver around it. What I would want to do is just extend the silver, so we have the silver going all the way around and connecting sort of between the spokes here. 22-inch wheels, 275mm wide tires. Even though it don't look like 22s because of the size of this vehicle, it still looks pretty good. And I don't want to have any bigger rims than we have 22s, because it's going to affect the comfort. This looks like it suits this vehicle perfectly. Now we do have this side step here. I wish this was retractable, because it's a pretty big shelf in the lower section of the vehicle. Of course, it's going to help with entry and so on, and comfort going in and out of the vehicle, but it would look so much better to just have this tucked into the bodywork when it's not in use. All the way up top, everything being blacked out. Even this area right here, this trim going in the lower section of the greenhouse, the beltline right here, has this almost gunmetal or dark gray feel to it. Roof rails up top also blacked out, and we have the full panoramic sunroof. Not sure if you can see it all the way up there, and also these pieces here in the middle also, of course, blacked out with some tint for the rear windows. The door handles, as you can see right now, the car is unlocked, meaning that the door handle pops up like this. When you set off, they're gonna fold back in, of course. Let's see if this is functional. I haven't really checked this out. I do feel like these are actually functional vents here on the side. Love to see it. If it wasn't functional, I would just want to remove this altogether and have a clean surface in that area. Side mirrors also blacked out, of course. We have a 360 camera right here. We have the LED indicator in that area as well. Coming around to the rear end, and this still sort of looks like this beluga whale in the front end, but it looks so much better than the old QX80 in my opinion. And I also like that we have the full LED. It's not really a light bar in this case. They did something different, so they cut up the light bar in several different smaller LEDs like this. And thankfully everything being LED. I also like these stripes here inside. So we have a bunch of different styles for the LEDs, and look how juicy and big this LED is right here, looking very nice. Infiniti logo right there, and I also like that the badges are blacked out. And this is a pretty cool four-wheel drive logo right there, QX80S four-wheel drive. Some darker chrome here for loading, unloading heavy stuff so you don't damage the bumper itself. Rear mounted camera located here. Infiniti spelled out massively in the back, looking very, very nice. I do wish though, if you look at this, it's a sport trim. Why don't we have the visible exhaust pipes for this? Specifically if you go into the sport trim, you see these big areas in the lower section, which you definitely just slap on some exhaust pipes in this area and it would look so much better in my opinion. So let's open up the trunk and let's see what kind of space we have in the back here. Of course, it is power assisted, obviously. Now you can fold down all the seats electronically with these buttons that we have on the side. You have 59 cubic feet with the second row folded down and 101 cubic feet with all seats folded down, so the second and the third row. So you have plenty of space here, and it's not a surprise because you can look at the side view and just look at how boxy the overall shape is. So you have these buttons right here on the side to fold down the seats. We can do that right here, for example. Use that button right there to fold down this third row. Very usable, very user-friendly. You can also use the air suspension here to lower and raise the vehicle. For example, if you have very heavy stuff that you need to load in here, all you gotta do is press this button and the car will sink itself down 2 inches. Down here you have a little bit more storage, not a lot, but you don't really need it because of this overall space that we have inside here. You also have a house outlet right here. Some hangers or whatever you want to call these as well. No LED though. I would like to see some LEDs in the back of the QX80, but we don't get that in this case. So let's close this back down. We talked about the exterior design. Let's jump in and have a look at this interior, because to me, as I said, I think it's a little bit too much of gloss plastic in the interior. I want to see some higher quality material with the price being over $100,000. So let's jump in and have a look at what's going on there. Now for the interior, you do have two big screens right next to each other. One for the gauge cluster right here and the other one for the infotainment screen over there. And then you have a third one down there. It's dedicated for the climate control settings. I love to see that. Looking at the door panel, of course, high quality material all around. Door handle feels nice. Memory seat settings in this area with some ambient lighting going here. You also have the speakers integrated in the headrest, which looks very, very cool. It looks almost like an alien head, this area right here. Controls for the windows and mirrors located right here. Again, you have this black gloss plastic coming back everywhere in the interior. I do want to see some higher quality materials for this trim that goes around the key features. More speaker integrations here and in the lower section, cup holders right there. Memory seat settings in this area, of course, and you have Infiniti illuminated as you're stepping in here. So let's use this big shelf and let's step in. Let's have a look at what's going on with the interior of this QX80. Now, there are things that I like, things that I am not a big fan of when it comes to this interior. For example, this screen, It's very interesting because it is a touchscreen, as you can see, but if you just touch it simply like this, it's not going to do anything. For example, for this fan speed, you have to press it and then you feel this bump or nudge in the screen, how the entire screen moves. It's very, very interesting, and I would much rather have, if we're gonna have to press the buttons physically pretty hard, it doesn't make sense to have touchscreen in that case. And then it would just make much more sense to just have regular buttons if we're gonna have to press it anyway. So you have the temp control right here, fan speed in this area. You also have the drive modes in this area as well. So let's go into mode. If we can put it back into park, maybe it will work. There we go. Personal, standard, eco, sport, tow, and snow. You have four-wheel drive auto or four-wheel drive high in this area, traction control on and off, and here you can raise and lower the air suspension manually if you want to do that. You have an automatic setting for that down here as well. Now looking at the gauge cluster, it is customizable. Love to see it. We can customize the left side or the right side. It doesn't, or I mean the right portion of the infotainment screen, or the left portion of the infotainment screen right here. You can customize the center portion. We can also switch between these features right here, and we can go in and switch the entire layout. So for example, if you go into customize display, we can go into change meter view. We have dynamic, elegant, and enhanced. I like to keep it in elegance because that gives us just a classic layout like this, speedometer on the left side, tachometer on the right. But we can go into enhanced, for example. It switches up the entire gauge cluster like this. So now you have a completely different view, and you can also go into dynamic, which is this third view, which also looks pretty cool to me. I think having the tachometer here, speedometer on the left side, looks pretty decent. Of course, you have wireless Apple CarPlay. However, I've had some problems connecting my phone to this. It does not connect automatically, and I cannot seem to turn the Bluetooth on for the vehicle. So connect to Bluetooth here. We go into this setting, and now it seems like it is actually on, but I can't find, if I try to connect it on my phone to this name, my QX80, it doesn't connect all the time. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Right now, as you can see, my phone is stored in the system, but it doesn't connect automatically to the wireless Apple CarPlay, which is pretty weird for a vehicle this size. Now, you do have the native map system here, which is pretty responsive. As you can see, nothing crazy going on here. We have a bunch of different settings here as well. Driver assist settings, Google Maps, dash cam, and interior lighting, and all of these settings you can fiddle around with if you want to. All the way down here, we have some more gloss plastic. As you can see, start button located in this area. We have a head-up display as well. Soft touch leather material up top like we want to see in this price range. However, this area here, more gloss black, and this entire portion is also gloss black in this area. And I'm not a fan of the gear selector buttons here. It looks very like a pretty lazy integration of the design here. I want to see it be looking much nicer than this, but if we put it into reverse, it is going to pop up the reverse camera. You can see we have a bunch of different camera settings here. Great to see it. We have the fisheye view as well and the full top view. So you can see exactly where the vehicle is positioned. The camera system is great resolution here as well. Putting it back into park, we do have drive. We can also put it into manual mode and use the paddles for the 9-speed automatic back here on the steering wheel. I did get some candy from Infiniti themselves, so thank you, Infiniti, for providing this for this test vehicle this week. Now here we have the key. We have remote start, lock, unlock, hold to open the trunk, panic button. I like that it says Infiniti up top, and it also says Infiniti in the back. 2 cup holders here full of candy at the moment. The wireless charging pad is located in this area. We also have 2 USB-Cs right there, looking beautiful. And this armrest is very, very comfortable. We can open this section up as well. We have plenty of storage down here, in addition to an illuminated USB-C slot in that area right there, looking beautiful. Looking at the seat design, we talked about the beautiful speakers integrated here. Of course, these are heated and ventilated. All you got to do is press this button right here to turn the ventilation on. And it is November now, but it's still 74 degrees outside. It does not make sense one bit, and I am sweating in here. Yesterday, it was about like 32 degrees in the morning. Colorado weather is just nuts. I think this is probably the last push of summer before winter hits. We have a full panoramic sun view all the way up top. You can open this up all the way, or the front section here if you want to, or you can close it back down. And you can also cover the entire thing by using this button right here. A couple LEDs here up top as well. Steering wheel looks beautiful. I do like the design of this with the Infiniti logo in the middle. You have the customization for the screens right here, voice command as well. And we have the controls for the cruise control settings and volume controls down here on the left side. Beautiful textures here. This is what I want to see from designers, for interior designers. Just add some passion into the design itself. Nice stitching on the inside, and of course we have the paddles here on the back for the 9-speed auto. So let's jump into the back seat and let's check this out, because the back seat is very, very comfortable. We have the captain's chairs back here, and obviously, me being 6'1", 6'2", I'm not going to have any problems fitting back here. I'm going to show you an overview of what it looks like in the back area. Power assisted seats back here. We have our own climate settings for the second row as well. Beautiful integration of the door panel here. Same door handle we have in the front end, and the integration of the speakers, cup holder down here. And we also have, for the second row, the same illuminated logo when we step in here, which feels high quality, that they didn't cheap out on that for the back seat. Now we have 2 cup holders here. We have more charging ports or USB ports in this area, and of course the full climate settings right in front of you, and more USB-Cs here in addition to a cigarette 12-volt outlet right there. A pocket in front of me. Space is perfect. I don't have any problems fitting back here. You can see the leg space, and also the head space is pretty fantastic. So let's see if we can climb back in to the third row. And I'm pretty comfortable right here behind my own driving position in the second row. So climbing back into the third row, it's pretty bad. I have to say. I thought it was going to give me more space, but I feel like I'm sitting so high up that my head is definitely hitting the roof here. So not the best space in the bag. Of course, if you fold up or if you move up the headrest, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable. Now you do have these buttons up top on the second row seat, so you can move the seats forward a little bit, giving you a little bit more space in the back right here. So with that said, we talked about the exterior design, the interior design. Let's take this QX80 2026 model year Sport trim for a drive, and let's see what that is all about. All right, guys, let's take the 2026 QX80 Sport for a drive, and let's see what this is all about. I mean, this thing feels like an absolute tank on the road. A tank wrapped in luxury. These seats are extremely comfortable. The only thing I would like to change with the interior is all the gloss plastic that we have going on here. Other than that, it's a fantastically comfortable riding machine with this body on frame construction that we have. I also like the changes they made to the exterior design. It still feels like the old QX80, but with much more modernized graphic features. That I'm talking about the LEDs, of course, in the front and in the rear. 450 horsepower from this 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, 516 pound-feet of torque. It's not going to be the quickest machine out there, but that is the old QX80 right there, by the way. But that is not what this is all about. This is about comfort and just cruising around with 3 rows of passengers and transporting them in ultimate luxury and comfort. That is what this vehicle is about, and that is what it does very, very well. Now, the interior layout here, let me know what you think about this dual screen setup, because to me it feels like the graphics inside of these look very nice, but still, for a luxury vehicle like this, to me, it's always going to be more luxurious to have analog features in luxury cars like this. It just makes more sense to me, instead of having just pixels all around. But stepping on it here, it does go, but it's 0-60 in, I think, over 8 seconds for this vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not quick at all, but you do have plenty of power, and I don't feel like I need more power than this for a vehicle of this type, because it's all about how the power is delivered in this case. And for me, it's all about this pulling power instead of this pushing power that we have if we talk about supercars and sports cars, for example. In a luxury vehicle, you want the car to feel like it's pulling you forward, and it would be nice to have a big 4-liter V8 under the hood in this vehicle. Cruising along here on this not so perfect road, even if we're rolling on 22s, it still feels extremely comfortable in here. No problems at all, and it's definitely a great road trip vehicle if you don't mind the pretty bad MPGs that you're gonna get when you have a big heavy body on frame SUV like this. I mean, turning this around, it feels like you're, you know, riding a yacht or driving a yacht or something. It's such a heavy feel in the steering wheel, and it feels so confident going down the road, and that is what I like about body on frame SUVs. However, it's not something that I would want to drive on a daily basis because of how undynamic the driving experience is. It really feels like you're driving something that weighs 10 tons when you have a vehicle like this. But if you're in the market for a big luxury SUV and you want to support Infiniti, I'm not sure how they're doing in sales, but I think they're slowing down a little bit right now. So they could definitely definitely use a boost in sales. Go and check out the QX80 and specifically get it in the sport trim that blacks everything out. All the bright accents that we have on the non-sport trim, it's all now completely blacked out. To me, this is all about luxury. It shouldn't even have a sport setting, in my opinion. It should have a luxury setting, a luxury plus setting, and a luxury ultra setting. That is what I think would suit this vehicle the best. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.